Hey there, everyone. Captain Logan here from the Keelhauled podcast. We're here with another breakdown trailer for Sea of Thieves. This is one of the adventure trailers, and we're going to be covering kind of what's going on with A Hunter's Cry, the latest adventure from Sea of Thieves. This is going to be a free update to everyone, and I do have to let you know right off the bat, I'm going to be starting, talking throughout this trailer. So if you haven't watched this trailer, I would encourage you to go watch it first. It's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds, so not too long, and then come back and we'll dive into this and have a little conversation about some of the cool stuff that we're seeing in this. So let's kick things off with where we're starting. Right off the bat, I think it's very interesting that we see that Merrick, a spirit still, because he's been killed in the last adventure by Amaranta, one of the sea dogs, and is now tied to a post using ghostly ropes, which is very interesting. It does not feel like the spirits in Sea of Thieves are as kind of like Ghostbusters, wave your hand through them as you would expect. It seems like these ones are ones that you can kind of really, you know, touch. They're more than just like the phantasmal approach that most ghosts are expected to have. So it's very interesting that they feel like they need to tie him up, but let's get into it a little bit. It's great to see Shelly. I absolutely love that Rare continues to add Shelly into this. We see Shelly kind of on a table now with a bunch of Devil's Rum and one of the skulls with the candle on it. And an interesting thing here that we have the actual, actually, I guess you can actually see it with the camera with this in the way, but you've got the Megalodon's jaws or shark jaws here tied to the actual table.
Hello, my little friend. What are you doing here? You want me?
Now it's funny to see that Shelly, who's been with us since the very beginning, but if you recall back when we were trying to find the veil, the Veil of Ancients, the mask, Shelly was there kind of charting the course with Merrick to try and understand where it was, trying to read the map that gave us the clues to the Ancients to figure out where the Veil of Ancients is. So the fact that she was in the Sea of the Damned in the last adventure was very telling, because now we're back there again. And right now, the biggest question in my mind is, where are they? Where could they possibly be? Where is Merrick tied up? There's obviously a bunch of Devil's Rum in the area, and Shelly is trying to just try and get his attention to be like, hey, you know, I'm coming over. I'm going to go snip the lines to get you free. Try and break you out.
You want me to have a drink?
I love that that's Merrick's first thing. He's like, oh yeah, drink. Yeah, no, I probably shouldn't right now. I got to keep my head on straight.
Oh no, I couldn't possibly. Besides, that's Devil's Rum. It'll blow your head clean off. Very,
very telling. Why would he feel the need to actually explain what Devil's Rum does unless they're planning on using it in the adventure? So I would not be surprised if this was a bit of foreshadowing. Very good foreshadowing, because it's exposition, right? It's explaining the scenario that they're in. It's like, oh, I can't have a drink. Besides, it's really volatile stuff. So I have a feeling that we're going to be using Devil's Rum in the adventure, probably to take down some big things or cause a distraction, maybe. Very interesting to kind of find out like what's going on. But obviously it's raining outside, so an explosion might be a little bit harder to achieve with just regular fire. Maybe something like a cannonball shot or a gunshot might be able to set it off, but there is obviously a skull with a flame behind it, and it is curiously close to a couple bottles of this Devil's Brew. So interesting foreshadowing there. I'm looking forward to seeing how this actually plays out. Shelly defeated, trying to communicate what she wants, and Merrick just not getting it. It's cute.
I'm sorry, friend, but I don't understand.
I think that I was trying to warn you that I was coming.
This was very nice to have kind of the captor come in and introduce herself in a way that is like, there's nothing that's going to happen here that you think is going to work out in your favor, because I'm right here. I'm always right here. And we get Amaranta back. Last time we saw her was at the end of the last adventure, after Merrick's death, and she revealed herself as what I'm still calling one of the Maidens of Sorrow, and she removed her mask and threw it into a brazier, and thus destroying it. And then she used the staff with the Gold Hoarder's skull to teleport herself from the Sea of Thieves to the Sea of the Damned. Seeing her back now with the mask on is very interesting to me, because for one, they have apparently a stock of these somewhere hidden away that you can just pull out anytime you need a new one in case you need to do another dramatic throw. But I really liked that this is kind of an animation technique. This is a little bit of hint. Now, her wearing the mask isn't necessarily something that is specific as to why she's wearing the mask, because everyone kind of knows who she is for the most part. But it is a trick that can be used when you don't necessarily have a whole lot of time to be able to animate cinematics. If you've got a lot of animation, which this one does, then you're going to want to save wherever you can. And one of the ways that you can save time is through lip sync. If you don't have to sync the lips of the person that's talking on screen by covering their mask or their face with a mask, then you can cut out a lot of the unnecessary work that comes with lip syncing. So if this is what they wanted to do, kudos to the animation team for thinking ahead about how you can get around having to lip sync for as many lines as Amaranta actually has, because her kind of explanation of what's going on in her dialogue is pretty significant in this compared to some of the other adventures that we've had. So very nice technique. Kudos to the team.
Though I'm not sure what's more pathetic. That it thought it could help you, or that you have a crab for a friend.
I think it's really interesting here that Amaranta refers to Shelly as an it and not a she. It makes me question, like, you know, is it she's talking down to the crab, or is she just not familiar with Shelly? Shelly seems like much more of a compatriot to Merrick, and it makes sense. You know, she's been around. She's been in the Sea of Thieves for a very, very long time, ever since the beginning. In fact, Shelly and Merrick have been together since the Hungering Deep, the very first adventure she's seen in the very first cinematic. So they've been through thick and thin together. So I'm not surprised that they are good friends. Even anyone that has a pet would consider their pets friends. Really, this is just kind of her jabbing at Merrick to kind of poke at him and make him feel less.
Come now, Merrick. You're making this much harder than it needs to be. Just tell us what we need to know, and this can all end.
I'm really curious to find out what they're trying to understand, what they're trying to learn. This is still kind of one of the big questions in my mind, is what is it that the Dark Brethren is trying to figure out? Because right now, the only thing I can really imagine is thinking back to the original motives of the Dark Brethren Court. The Dark Brethren Court has been trying to get control of the Sea of Thieves for quite some time. They're fighting against not only the pirates of Sea of Thieves, but also Flameheart's Reaper's Bones crew as well, too. And originally, they were trying to get the actual little thing, the little mysterious artifact from Jack Sparrow to be able to travel to and from places. That was one of the things that they wanted to get. Having the ability to transfer between realms is very, very big to the Dark Brethren Court, because I think that they were trying very hard to be able to get the captain back to the Sea of Thieves, which is a video that, if you guys are not quite sure, there's a Who is the Captain video that I have in the YouTube channel as well. Feel free to watch that if you want to hear my speculation on who I think the captain is and what it could mean for Sea of Thieves as well. So I think that the question here is Merrick probably knows that the Veil of Ancients is being held by the Pirate Lord, and that the Pirate Lord is going to try and hopefully help us get to the Sea of the Damned so that we can go and rescue Merrick's soul. And then eventually get him back onto Stephen's spoil so we can finally turn in our fish, because reasons. So I think what the Dark Brethren Court is trying to figure out how they can get the Veil of Ancients, and Amaranta is trying to pry that information from Merrick, but Merrick is actually pretty resilient, and I'm very glad for it.
I ain't telling you nothing.
Is that so?
think just because you wear that mask that I can't see what you really are? I've fought monsters before, and I wasn't afraid then. So if you think you're getting anything from me, you're wrong.
I love that, man. What a speech. What a masterful speech. Holy cow. He's fought monsters before and he's not afraid of them. He's not afraid now. And it's just speaks to his resolution. He's so resilient to all of the bickering, all the taunting, the abuse, everything. Even in death, it hasn't stopped his spirit. And I absolutely love that he's pushing back so hard in the face of certain doom.
To see that death hasn't.
I love that Amaranta still has her sea dog cutlass. It's a real testament to where she came from. Even though she is who I consider one of the Maidens of Sorrow, I still really absolutely love the fact that she has not let go of her kind of sea dog lineage. You know, her prowess as a player versus player, as a very good swordsman and pirate.
Dampened your spirits.
Very interesting callback here as Amaranta is kind of goading Merrick based on his reaction to her throwing him down the stairs. We see in the background Wanda the Warsmith with Duke the Dark Lord, and they're up on a higher level, which usually means that in a shot like this, when you have kind of Amaranta in the front, she's the power right now. She's kind of like in the foreground. In the background, the focus changes, and generally when you have a change in focus, it's to draw your attention to what's going on in the background. And in this case, normally who would ever be in the foreground would be the most powerful person in the scene. But because the focus has shifted away from Amaranta over to Wanda and Duke, it is now showing that not only are they on a higher level, but they are higher up on the food chain. They are more powerful. And that's actually a very interesting technique in film that's used to indicate who really has the power in a situation. So here you have kind of like Amaranta's like actually showing you kind of what's going on with kind of her taking control of the situation and doing the dirty work. But up in the top corner, you still have the masterminds plotting what's going to happen in the long run.
But I killed you once before, Merrick. And believe me when I say that I have no problem with tearing your soul apart.
Really interesting that Amaranta is just really willing to do whatever it takes for her to be able to start anew, to be able to have what she wants in life. She's not above to killing people. Obviously, as a sea dog, she's used to it. But going as far as to tearing a soul apart, that really takes a type of person, a type of evil that really does speak to the loss of humanity, which I think is very, very clear with the face, with the mask. A very clear representation. There's no eyes in that mask. There's no soul behind that mask. Everything is just a dark void, and it speaks to who she is at her core. It really does say like, hey, there is not a human behind this mask anymore. It is just pure hatred. And I think they've done a really great job of showcasing that as well.
Peace, my peace.
You do.
I love that Duke's back. Duke the Dark Lord, foretold. I'm going to be doing a video, hopefully in the future, diving a little bit more into Duke and who I potentially think he might be. But it is definitely clear he is not the mastermind right now, because he's kind of thinking things through like in the moment, where in a little bit we'll kind of go over the dialogue from the Warsmith, and she's already anticipated this. Her hands in this scene are actually clenched. She is anticipating this. She's ready for a fight. She knows exactly what's going to be coming down the line, and she's ready for that. Whereas Duke's kind of relaxed and kind of casual looks around is more just a showcase of like he's not quite sure what's going to happen, and he's kind of wondering if they've really been prepared for all this.
You realize they'll come here to save him?
Of course. And I'd very much like to see them try.
That was a great opportunity to really kind of show that The Warsmith is making moves. She is adamantly trying to figure out what she can do to get the Veil of Ancients if that's what their goal is. And we still don't know for sure if that's the end game for her. But it is clear that she is baiting them. She is keeping Merrick, his soul, kind of in limbo right now, to try and get them to try and get us to the Sea of the Damned, because I think that's where she has more power. I think that's where she has more control. And having Merrick as this bait will force us to find a way to get to the Sea of the Damned, thus hopefully bringing the Veil of Ancients with us for us to get a way back, because I don't imagine that the staff that they have with the Gold Hoarder's skull is powerful enough to be able to bring multiple people or multiple souls from the Sea of the Damned. I think it is kind of a one person teleports themselves to and from the Sea of the Damned when necessary. But I think that the Veil of the Ancients is the thing that really kind of opens up the whole portal. And I'm kind of leaning to this because of where we're at. So if you take a look, we're at the Sea Dog Tavern, but if you notice in the little background right here, it's very, very faint, but it is the eclipsed sun or moon, depending on whatever it is. I think it's the moon. You see the total eclipsed moon in the background, very, very prominently kind of suggesting that we are for sure in the Sea of the Damned. Even though we're at Sea Dog's Rest, we're at the spire in the middle of the Sea of Thieves. This looks to be either teleported from the actual Sea of Thieves, which I'm going to be very impressed if they did that, if they're able to actually move the entire spire as well as Sea Dog's Rest or not Sea Dog's Rest, Sea Dog's Tower, the tavern there, to the Sea of the Damned, or if this is a memory, if it is a physical representation of what was in the Sea of Thieves manifested into the Sea of the Damned. So I'm very curious to find out if something happened to the actual Sea Dog Tavern in the game, like when we go there, when the adventure kicks off, if it's going to be shrouded in mist, kind of the way that old Boot Fort was converted into the Fort of the Damned. I'll be very curious to find out if this is something that is going to be happening in the actual Sea of Thieves, and that's where we have to go to be able to get to the Sea of the Damned. And if the portal that we're going to be opened, it won't be through the spire rocks that we have around each of the different outposts, but it is actually the pinnacle spire in the middle of the Sea of Thieves. If we use the Veil of Ancients and we sail through a portal that is made from that actual spire, and that teleports us into the Sea of the Damned, where we come out and we're right in front of the Sea Dog Tavern. So this is what I'm really interested in, because we are in the Sea of the Damned. We see here that we have the Sea Dog Tavern. Off to the right here is one of the bell towers. It's really hard to make out what is actually going on, but it is definitely a destructed type of building. There's something going on with the top little belfry here, whether it's like a turnstile or it doesn't look like one of those hourglasses. And if I move the camera over to the right here, over here you can see definitely for sure that there are some of the purple plants, as well as some of the green lanterns that generally are something that you will see in the Sea of the Damned. So the rest of the Sea Dog Tavern, the rest of the seas, are all shrouded in the Sea of the Damned, and the actual plant life and structures around the Sea Dog Tavern are all representative of what we've seen from Tall Tales in A Pirate's Life and stuff. So I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. I'm very, very interested to figure out if the Sea Dog Tavern is going to be gone in adventure, because one of the prospects that I had when I was talking in one of the past episodes was, if we were going to ruin Golden Sands, then we could easily make a new outpost as the Sea Dog Tavern and just move the Sea Dog Tavern to one of the other islands, or to keep it where it's at and make it its own outpost. Very curious to see like what's going to happen in this update. There's not too much else to really dive into with this. It just kind of pans out and we get the lightning flash with a hunter's cry. This I wish I had a little bit more clarity on. I wish I could see what was going on, because obviously we've got one of the Spire Rock portals with the activated portal there, which to me suggests that we are going to be using the Veil, because as we've seen with the Gold Hoarder staff, that can only open up a small portal in the between the realms to be able to teleport one person between, Amaranta being the example in this case. So seeing that this is obviously during a storm in the Sea of the Damned, we're able to actually see that one of the big rock spires, or rock kind of I can't think of what they're called, but the kind of triangle rock things have been opened up, and I'm assuming that's going to be through the Veil of Ancients. So I would not be surprised if Bell and the Pirate Lord are going to be making a presence, their presence known in this adventure, and that we will be using the Veil after we've already gathered it from the Veil Voyages, with which is available for all the Pirate Legends. He's been keeping it safe for this time. I would imagine that our goal here is to try and rescue Merrick, to bring him back to the sea, to the land of the living. It'll be curious to know if how that's going to work. I'm very curious to find out how we're going to be able to get Merrick back to the land of the living, if the ferryman will make an appearance and do what he did with Jack, if he will bring Merrick back to life, the way he did with Jack Sparrow, the way he did with George and Rose at the end of the Tall Tales for A Pirate's Life. So lots of big questions that I'm looking forward to finding out. Again, if you don't know, this is going to be kicking off on August, what is it, 18th? I think it's the 18th. I'm waiting for the little bit to pop up here. Yeah, the 18th through September 1st. And don't forget, September, I believe 19th is going to be the Talk Like a Pirate Day. So we've got a couple weeks before that. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed this breakdown. I'm going to be uploading this right away, so hopefully you guys get a chance to watch this. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, feel free to like and subscribe to things that people do for the YouTube algorithms. I'm close to 500 followers soon, so that'll be a really cool milestone for me. And with that, I think that's gonna be it. So thanks all. Hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to getting into this adventure. You have a great time sailing. Cheers.